Welcome back to Off the Rock Rebellion, the podcast where we talk about costuming and how to incorporate everyday finds into your everyday looks. Hello, Billy. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I feel like my brain is starting. Sometimes we record multiple, if you haven't
hmm
noticed, multiple sessions, and I feel like my brain is like starting to be a little loopy.
Which is probably good on an episode like this, which
Yeah.
is a little more loosey goosey. But I think we
Oh,
are like maybe 20 minutes from now, it's gonna fall completely off the rails. So
gonna unhinged. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Well, we've been chatting about like just some really great topics, and my brain is like
yeah,
so
yeah,
jazzed
yeah.
in so many different directions right now.
Yeah, the
But we
last
were,
episode
I
last week
know.
was about texture and stuff, but I thought, I put this in the doc, and I thought that since it was the beginning of the year, and even though we've put out a few episodes at this point, it would be good to sort of catch up because it's actually still really early in the year, even
Yeah,
though this will go up a little later.
yeah, but not too later in the grand scheme of the months, right? So,
Right,
yeah.
right, right, right.
So, what have you been working on? I mean, what are your goals for this year? What have you been working on?
Well, I feel like I went into the holiday season and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a bunch of time. It's
Oh,
gonna be great. I'm gonna be so like so productive. And then I became a couch. I just became
you
couch.
you
So I did nothing. I did nothing, absolutely nothing. And it was wonderful. Sometimes like
you know
sometimes you need a break. It's okay
yeah,
to like take a break, and
that's that
it
winter
just so happens.
hibernation, right? That like we are
Exactly.
mammals and we avoid it, and it's ridiculous because
Exactly.
I think society would be a lot happier if we got into that. What is it that they call it? Hygge, right? That like is it
What is
Swedish
that?
or Norwegian or it's one of the Norwegian, it's one of the
One
Scandinavian
of the
countries.
Skarsgårds.
Yes, yeah. So it's like Hygge is the concept of cozy, and it is the concept
Okay.
that you adopt during the cold, dark months, and you really lean into hot tea,
Yep.
cozy sweaters,
Yep.
binging something on your couch,
Yep.
fires, like yes. And so
Absolutely.
you bring in, yeah. So you were just leaning into that, and that's a very
All of those things.
seasonally
Yeah.
appropriate thing, right? Totally.
Well, my wife always says that like that we kind of, and we, I mean the royal we, I mean all of us on this planet, we put a lot of emphasis on the start of the year, which
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense on a
No,
like animal level. Like
no.
this is an ending, it's not really a
Right.
beginning. We're still in the middle of winter.
Mhm.
The trees are bare. The harvest that came and went. Like we're all kind of, we've all fattened ourselves up
Yeah,
in order to stay inside because it's cold out there and we don't want to brave the elements, right?
yeah,
So the idea for me, the idea of like a New Year's resolution and starting something on January 1st makes no sense. Like it should start with the spring, with the
yes.
rebirth, with we are now maybe now we're planting seeds or thinking about planting seeds, but then the spring comes in and that's when one should start something new or anything like that. I say all of that to say I
I'm so
became
with you though.
couch. And I
I
did
am so
nothing.
with you.
I went into it very enthusiastic. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do all these things." And I'm still gonna
Yeah,
do them. I
yeah.
just didn't do it while like I had an amazing time, with my wife off of work, and I took some time off of work, and
Good.
we're watching Christmas movies. We got the
Yeah,
tree up. We've got,
yeah.
so I
You
didn't
got
do
some
anything.
wine, you got some tea, you got some, yes,
But I'm
absolutely.
now starting to come out of hibernation,
Good.
and I've
Yeah.
started to like here and there do a few little things.
Mm.
I added I added one stripe to a droid that I'm working on.
Hey, that's more than I've
which
ever done
is
on a chart.
which I have right here, because
Oh,
it's actually under my chair, at my desk. It's just here. It's always here staring at me. But yeah, I this is
work on
I
me,
added
Billy.
one stripe. But that's okay. It's
That's
okay to give
yeah,
yourself that license. I did paint a few
absolutely.
other things, but they're not really ready for any public. viewing. But I mixed up a batch of that specific color that I needed for a few other things, and I was like, "Oh, this would actually really go really well with the droid," because I was, trying to figure out what color stripe I wanted, and I was like, "This is the."
Mhm.
So anyway,
Yeah,
uh, that's what I've been working on, and
I
then
love
just
it.
a
Well,
lot of working up here. What have you
yeah.
been working on?
Oh, well, always making lists, always making plans
Yeah,
in your head, right? Oh, I'm that kind of
yeah.
person for sure. Well, and every time you work on a droid too, I'm always like, I need to go back and look at everything that Billy's ever posted about working on a droid, along with a bunch of our other friends. Because I got two droids that I want to work on, and I always am intimidated to even start. So every time you
Oh
like
my
give
god,
me a
no
little,
way.
I'm like, yes, this is good to see. I can do this.
I can send you links. I
Oh
can
my
send
god, that's
you,
what I
like,
figured you could.
yeah, I even have, what's that thing called when you save your stories or
Oh, it's yeah,
whatever?
the highlights.
The
Yeah,
highlights, yes, I
yeah.
have a highlight specifically
Oh, I
for my
know.
droids. Oh, okay, okay,
Oh,
great.
I know, but we can tell the people, trust me,
Oh,
because I
that's
know
perfect.
that, like,
I try
there's
to put my
certain stuff.
builds on there 'cause,
Yes.
a lot of times for me to, like, reference, because sometimes I'll get questions and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do? Hold on, let me
Mhm.
go back and reference."
Yeah.
Um, but if
It's
you
such a
have any
helpful tool for
questions,
that, like,
yeah, if you have any questions ever, by all means, my door is
okay,
always open,
sweet,
to
yeah,
you, Kate,
yes.
specifically, but also to the
Anything
rest of you.
else.
But,
Yeah,
like,
I've definitely
definitely.
got a Lola, and then the Dio that I picked up on, it was the only thing I bought on Black Friday. My son and I had stopped by Goodwill, which isn't usually a
Yeah,
good idea on Black Friday. I feel like it's any day you can add an extra sale, and Goodwill does, there's even more people, right? But
okay.
I found a Dio in his box for $10, and I was like,
Oh,
"Hell
wow.
yes!" And it was on the sale, I think, because they had, like, a ton of colored tags or whatever that were on sale, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This is going home with me. Now I need him." Yeah,
I
but he's
love a
still in the box.
deal, and definitely on something that you're going to customize. It
Yeah,
always feels like
totally.
it gives you more license, right? 'Cause,
Right?
I got it for 10
Exactly.
bucks,
So I
like,
was like,
it's
"Yeah, it's
fine.
no big deal." Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yes, that's what I was like, "Yeah."
These Lolas, they were like when they first came out, they were like
Yeah.
80 bucks or
Well, I
something.
love that Mars wasn't it Mars that kept being like, "Hey guys, the Lola's on sale for like this much," and so I
$9.
yes, and so I got mine, and then my son fell in love with it, so I got one for him, and then my cousin's son saw like the little one in a store and was
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and bought it for my son and sent it across the country for him, and it
Oh,
was like and so we have these 3 Lolas that sometimes like we had neighbor kids over a couple months ago because we have a couple of the Galaxy's Edge RC ones,
yeah.
that each of the boys have, and then we've got this trio of Lolas, and so these 3 boys were just, like, creating chaos. It was it was like with these droids, it was so funny. So, yeah, we have more droids in our house than I usually think of, so, yeah,
That's,
but
that's lovely. I have my
yeah,
little BB unit, and I've
so
got I do have that Galaxy's Edge, BD unit, the
oh, yeah,
yellow
yeah.
one, not the
Mhm.
BD1
Yeah.
colorway, but the yellow one. That one's in storage.
Oh,
Every time I go to the storage, I have it really accessible in an
yeah.
open box. Every time I go to the storage, I look at it and
You're like, "Oh,
"I'm gonna
shipping
take
is"
you home one day,
yep.
buddy."
I do that with my all my supplies. I'll, like, open it for something else. I'm like, "Oh, that fabric. Ooh, I'm using that soon." Won't be used for another few
But my
years,
BB
but
unit, since it
yeah,
was painted, I had to the first chance that I got, I had to bring
yeah.
it into the home because it felt like leaving my dog in a kennel.
Yes. Yep. Oh, your poor child.
Had it not been, painted, it would be fine, but you put so much into it that,
Yeah, it
you're
got your
like,
baby,
"No, I
right?
wanna
Like,
yeah, I wanna"
yeah,
yeah.
totally. It
So
puts
that one's
that
in there.
texture that we just talked about in your droid. There's stories.
I did
Oh,
name my Lola droid finally. I sort of was kicking it around, and I
yeah.
think, and I named it Kate. Well,
That's
it's
a
LOK.
frontier.
It's it's locate, actually. It's
No way. Oh my
LOK8, yeah.
locate.
Um, it is everything's gotta have a story with me. It's a modified
That's a good one.
it's a modified ID9 seeker droid, internal into this little Lola body. And a seeker droid
Oh,
is kind of like a, search and destroy, or actually just a recon droid, but usually
yeah,
for the Empire.
okay.
Um, so when these came out, it was almost like a good guy version of a
Yeah,
floating, big-eyed droid. So I was like, well, I know that's what I want it to be. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
I thought of K8, yeah, LOK8.
I love that.
Locate,
I
yeah,
like seeing what people name them. It's
yeah.
always really It's always really funny. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm far away from that. That is one thing that I might try to accomplish this summer. Our spray season is so short in Seattle
Hmm.
because it's like raining from September to June. And so
Yeah,
it's like, and then when it happens, it's like vacation time. So I'm like, shoot, we're like barely in town. I'm like, gosh darn
that's
it.
right.
So that's why I'm like, I need like an actual list of like, here's what I'm planning. Cause I have my cosplay list, which you mentioned, like, yeah, New Year's comes around and people do these resolutions, but I do my, okay, we're in a new year. Comic Con's coming up in March. What do I want to accomplish? This event, that event, this other event. I've got a lot of events this year.
Yeah. That's great. I think, yeah, I think if you have the
Yeah,
opportunity to do it, then I'd say go because,
right.
yeah,
Totally.
good
Yes. And so it's like, yeah.
memories formed.
So I've gotta make a spray list because I've got a like textile costuming list of like this is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on and when. We'll see if they happen. Of course, they always take longer than I think they will. I'm like, "Ah, dang, I thought I could
Yeah, I
crank that
think
out
it's
in a week."
good if you can set yourself a list and then like even though the projects are completely different from each other, and that's sort
Yeah.
of what I did because I also like, it doesn't get super, super hot like
Okay.
here
Mhm.
in England. So I was actually waiting quite a while into summer for the
Yeah.
temperatures to rise up. And then essentially had maybe like I guess I did have like a good 2.5 months, but I hit them hard,
Yes.
and even though the projects themselves ended up being all completely different and different eventual uh, um, paint ups, I did all of my like primes all at once, you
Mhm.
know.
That's a good
Everything was
idea.
dry. I did
Okay.
all of my
Yeah.
like my base layers all at once, if everything, if it was gonna be blacks underneath anything, like all of those went together. So I was painting like 2 blasters, a little sort of hand prop, these droids,
Mhm.
these like little, the little lantern things,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, all at like in batches because I knew that
Perfect.
eventually I can get it to the point where I can do inside painting, which is
Mhm.
just, the weathering washes and
Yep.
stuff. So if I can get
Yeah.
everything base painted, then I feel like I can then do all the inside stuff
That's
into the
alright.
into the winter. So if you could
Perfect.
do it like that, do it that way, yeah.
Okay. This is
Get
where
all your
yeah.
base colors, yeah.
Okay, perfect. This will be the season where I'm like, "Okay, what do I wanna make?" Like, what do I wanna
It's
Yeah, so
also
I'll make my
easier
list
to
and I'll get
because
ready.
because you get you it feels like you get like 3 or 4 projects, like, going
Yeah.
at
Yes.
once, and then you can sort of pick and choose then, when you want, but that
Well, and
spread,
who works on one thing at a time? If you work on
no
one
way.
thing at a time, I would like to hear from you because this is
Yeah,
something
you
else
gotta
that
be in the mood.
I and Grayson and I talk about, like, who does that? Who does work on just why not work on 3 at least at the same time?
Yeah,
Like, oh my gosh. So I've got some big cosplays coming out this year, which funny enough, I'm diving into a little bit of some stuff that's not in Star Wars.
sure,
I think
yeah.
I've got this like I didn't mean to, but there's definitely a theme going on this year, and it is 90s nostalgia. So it's like going
Okay,
back to a whole bunch of characters from TV shows and movies and books and things from the 90s that I'm like,
that's cool.
I'm just seeking this like comfort this year
Yeah,
of like
okay.
these things that have always been with me that have always been my go-to, like, you know what I mean? And there's a couple Star Wars things worked in there, but a lot of them are not. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like trying to make my list of Comic Con. I'm like, well, I gotta have a day to wear my Twilight. I gotta have a day to wear my Mara Jade. Like, I can't make too
Yeah,
many things, right? I'm like, because I still feel like I need to wear these Star Wars things, right? But
yeah.
there will be other events. I can spread them out. Like if I
Yeah.
just decide I'm going to space dive and you're all coming with me, right?
Yes.
Everybody,
We're
we're all
putting that
gonna
out
go.
into the universe, yeah, yeah. I
So
also have
yeah,
to see when the UK Andor premiere is gonna
yes.
be.
Can you go to that?
I want to. I'm putting
Oh
that out
my
into the
gosh.
universe,
Oh yeah,
I'm
totally.
hoping I get some sort of, I don't know, some
Yes.
sort of invite or
Yeah,
some
like
sort of heads up or
how
something
do you
like
get
that.
that?
I
Um,
don't know,
the
but
guys
I'm
on
putting it out in the universe.
the Explore the Force podcast, which I've chatted with them several times, and Jack is in the UK, and he just went to the one for Skeleton Crew.
I know.
Um,
How did like
yeah, I know, and I don't know
I'm here?
what
Like
the process was. I know, I'll reach out, I'll be like, "Hey, dude, where do you get those invites?"
how did I? Yeah, I know some people that went to that, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
like,
wait,
"How have you
what,
done that?" I know. Someone take
what?
Billy.
How? Where's this list? Where do I
I
sign
know.
up?
You're like,
You
"Who
know?
makes the list? Who is in charge
Yeah.
of this list?" Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I just want to
I've
sign up.
always
I just want a shot.
I know. Totally, and they should, especially for Andor. Oh my gosh.
I know. Gotta have Burgundy
Yeah,
Squadron
I know.
representation,
Exactly. This
and/or
is this is our vibe. This is what
yeah,
keeps us going. Oh my gosh, yes. Which I can't believe it's coming up, like, just in a few months because we just finished Skeleton Crew, super fun with that one, and then it's like, well, what's next? Oh, well, Andor.
yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, I know.
What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm trying to, because it's not gonna get warm for a while. So, oh, it'd be amazing. Raimi just said the Ferrex Friday photos from the Andor red carpet are gonna be amazing. Yes, absolutely.
Ooh, we
Um,
should do wait a minute, hold the phone. We
mhm.
should do, like, a Burgundy Squadron thing on social media of, like, what's your red carpet look for Andor?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
okay,
that's a
Raimi's in.
good idea. That would get their attention. We'll tag
It
Star
would.
Wars, we'll tag Star Wars
Sometimes,
UK,
yes,
Disney Plus,
yes.
Disney Plus UK, and
Yep,
then
yep. Whole
yes.
social media thing,
Okay.
yes.
We'll
We're
get that.
we'll
We'll get that.
okay, yeah.
We'll get that
We'll
going.
we'll
Maybe
hash
not
out
for tomorrow, but
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
for next week.
Let's
And
break the
let's do
internet
it.
with it, yes,
Ramey's
let's do
in.
it.
Ramey's it. He's saying
No,
yes
I
a
love
thousand
this.
times yes. Total social media takeover.
This is
Let's
why we're so good
absolutely do
company.
it. Yeah.
Yes,
Burgundy.
okay, great.
Yes.
Alright,
Yes. I
we'll
think
put
if
it together.
one of us makes it to
Yeah, right?
the a premiere and we can go there representing, then
Yes,
I'm happy.
absolutely. Okay, sorry,
Let's
what
do
were you
it.
gonna say before?
Yeah. Well, this will this will air after we've given the word of this
Yes,
mission, but
but that's okay. If you haven't
yeah.
heard yet, now you know the mission
Yeah.
and find out details from one of us because there will be details by the time this airs. This is just
Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. But
Just
yeah,
and
oh
everything.
yeah, some of the other things because of weather wise, I need to do a lot of indoor projects. So I have to yes. Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
Raimi's got
Raven's
the
got all the
brightest
ideas.
ideas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can make a Instagram story template. I know how to do that. I can do
Yes, we're
the
cooking. Yeah, we are.
yeah, I can do I can do the transparent ones where it's
Yeah.
like, a shape around us and the photos in the
Mhm.
shape. I'm gonna do all of that. Okay. I
Yes,
got it. I
okay,
got
okay.
it. I got it.
Perfect, perfect.
Oh, wait, we're still recording. Okay. Is it the 20-minute mark? Yeah, I think we're cooked. Okay. So,
This is what we
we will
said we're gonna be a
definitely
little loopy in this one because we've been
we
recording
will
all
definitely
morning.
do that.
This is what happens when Billy and I are
Oh my
together. Oh
god.
my gosh.
Yeah. I will try. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And Raimi.
Um,
Ah,
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please do. Please do. They have to see this.
yeah, leave
This
this
was the
in.
Loosey Goosey
This
episode.
is
It's gotta
yeah,
stay in.
this is the real us. This is too many projects and adding more on. That's who
Adding
we
more.
are.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. One more. Let's do it.
Oh,
Oh my god. Oh yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
I'm I'm working on weathering soft goods. I feel
Okay,
like I've said that a bunch, and I was
nice.
supposed to do that over the winter break, and I
Okay.
didn't.
Oh yeah, which is fine. Hygge. You gotta have the cozy season. Yes. Oh yeah. I
Um,
I had started dyeing my wool for my Mando that Liam created.
oh yeah,
I
I
had
saw that.
ordered
Yeah.
this wool like right off the bat because Liam sent a speed shape to me, which is just this
Hmm.
funky, right, for folks who don't know it. It almost looks like a bicycle seat. I had to be like, what the heck is this thing? And it's
Kind
like
of looks
this
like
is
a
not
car, like a
it does. Well,
supercar,
because
like a
they were used
fancy
in the
fast
automotive
car.
industry, right, to like
Hmm.
spray it and be like, okay, how does this color look on all the angles with shadows
Hmm.
and everything? And so of course Liam is such a professional in armor making that that's
Hmm.
that's what you get. And so sent that to me so I could get the colors matched up. And I ordered this wool and found it, and it was like almost close. And it took me months to finally be like, I could just dye it. It's not. Why am I still? What's my problem?
Yeah.
I'm like all worried about this. Like it's just a. I'll just and it turned out perfect. Well, then I went back to buy it, and they don't have it anymore, and I could
Oh
not
no.
find what I was looking for. And then I realized that I've got like yards of wool in this
Oh
closet,
wow.
like yards because there's a. Ironically, in Western Washington and the West Coast of the United States, near us there is a medieval reenactment site, which
Oh,
I mean, right? But it's to examine the historical significance of England just prior to the peasant uprising of, and I can't remember the year, 14 whatever,
okay.
when society changed from being based on serfdoms, right?
Okay.
And so it's this fascinating experience, honestly. And so I was just before the pandemic actually taking classes and going to volunteer there because it's a very interesting historical time. Well, after pandemic, I was involved in a whole bunch of other things, so I haven't. But I had bought a ton of fabric to be making a bunch of medieval English costumes. Wool, lots of linen.
Lots of wool.
And so I was like, just before the holidays, I was like, oh my God, I've got all this natural color wool in here. It's a little thicker, but it's not bad. So that was what I was working on over winter break was one of the projects was like just constantly like over dyeing this wool to get it the exact color I wanted and I
Yeah.
did. But now I'm just sitting I'm like, okay, now I'll work on something else. I still haven't like made the
That's
cape
how
or the skirt. I'm like, well good, the
I've made
fabric's
enough
good.
progress on that, right? Let's put that on the
I've only
shelf.
been working on this for a year. It's fine. But what I did is I made myself the goal of the first project of the new year had to be a project that I started back in 2022, I think it was,
Yeah.
20 or
Oh, right.
2021.
I saw that
And
story.
so I
Yeah.
was like, I can't do anything before and it's a dress out of the movie Ever After by Drew
Mhm.
Barrymore. And it and I'm like, I've got to this has to be my first. I can't allow myself to do anything else in
Okay.
2025 until I finish this. Although I am because I'm going to a pirate this will have aired after I'm already there, but I'm going to a pirate event this weekend and I was like, I want this hat.
You're like, I can't do anything else until I finish this except
I
for that
figured
one thing.
one thing. Well, and like Comic Con is definitely like nipping at my heels right now. Emerald City Comic Con is
Right.
coming up in March, beginning of March, and so it's definitely like, what am I taking to that? What has been? So that's my big goal. Is that like a cosplay needs to be something that's already been. I'm
Right.
really good at procuring the supplies and not
Yeah.
really good at carving out the time to make it. Um, and
Well,
so I've got
there's a
a
saying,
lot.
right? It's, you'd rather, have it and not need it and not have it.
And that is my that's why I come from a long line of pack rats on both sides of my family, because you know what
Yep.
farmers did? They had stuff and they kept it in their barns for
Yep.
centuries.
Yep.
That that's what I'm doing now. So, yeah, so there are a few projects I'm like, I have to work on this. One of them being, hopefully for this year, is an actual cosplay of, Shmi Skywalker. So I, like,
Okay.
definitely, like, when I put together, like, a Disney-bound look last year when I went to see the Phantom Menace on the big
Yeah.
screen, which I still am so happy about that. But I was like, I should do this cosplay because I'm gonna be what's the date? Yeah, I'm gonna be 42 in less than a month. So I'm like, it's fine. Cosplay is for everyone, regardless of gender orientation, all this stuff, whatever, age, race, whatever. But I also get a little sick of pretending to be I'm 18, pretending to be 18 because I'm actually gonna be 42. And so I'm like,
Okay.
I have this list of like middle-aged characters. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
I should do them. Oh, I should. And so I'm like, I should put together a proper cosplay of her. Um, so I do have the fabric, which I did over dye like a year ago. And so
Okay.
it's one of them. I'm like, maybe before Star Wars Day, we'll go plug that one
That
and
may
like get that
maybe
in.
that's your, like, cycle. Like, you die a thing,
Yes,
wait a
a
year,
year
and
later,
then
yeah,
make it.
for
So
sure.
you just have to somehow, schedule that so that
40th
it actually works
rotation.
with the real world thing. So you have to think about what costumes you wanna make in
Exactly.
2026 so you can start dyeing them now.
You know, it's kind of if you think about it, it's kind of an old farmer way because you had to
Right,
take your seed from your previous crop and wait a
right,
number of months before you put it in the ground and then wait a few more months before you could harvest it. So there we
right,
go.
right. Yeah, it all works. It all
That's what's going
works.
on. Yes, but it's also ADHD where I just go, "I'm making this. Oh, but that thing looks really fun. I'm gonna go do that thing
Yeah.
instead." Right?
Well, I
Oh,
put up a story. This will be long gone by the time anyone hears this, but I put up a story today that I got, and this is I don't know if you know of this creator on Instagram, Platano Galactico. I said it in
Oh,
Spanish because my boy
you
is
should send it to me.
it's it's plátano as in plantain
Okay.
galactic. Like his name is Galactic Plantain, but it's plátano galactico,
I
right?
love it.
In Spanish. It's amazing. He does a lot of mashup costumes,
Oh,
sort
which
of
I love.
Star Wars, but also with hip hop mixed in, like hip hop influence mixed
Oh
in.
my
So he did a like a Wu Yang, as in like the oh god, the character that helps all the Padawans make their first lightsabers. Oh, he's the one in the with Ahsoka in
Okay,
the Ahsoka series, that droid.
which I still haven't seen.
Anyway, he did oh, okay. He did he did a Wu Yang. What is that character's name? You anyway, whatever. Some scream at me.
Yeah,
But in the someone screaming at their car
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Somebody's there to me going, "It's the
But
same,
anyway,
Billy."
he did a Wu Yang. Um um wait, what was it? Why did
Yeah,
I bring him up?
you were asking. It's in your stories. Hang on, we
Oh
can
yes, yes,
backtrack.
yes.
Yes,
He
okay, there
shared
we
this. He
go.
shared this in his stories, and then I shared it,
Never
which
mind.
is a hip hop producer named MF Doom, and rapper named MF Doom,
Okay.
and very famous. He's he's a legend, and he's talking about his creative process, or actually, someone's asking him about his creative process, and he's saying, he's like, I have to be in the mood. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I have to be in the mood. It comes
Yes.
at me in waves, and I
Yes.
just have to stay ready to ride the wave.
Who is
Like,
this
no,
person? This person is my soulmate.
it's MF Doom, and I think that's the way I work as well. Like,
I do too.
if I'm not
Yes.
into it, I can't
And
force my hand. Like,
yes, and I can fall out of it easily
yeah,
depending on what's happening in life or the world, or and I
yeah,
can, which is why this 90s nostalgia sub theme came up, and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, okay, everything I'm working on this year is 90s," because I'm very in the, very interested in the vibe of what are they calling it? Oh, they're calling it, shoot, is it clothing vibe? Well, kind of a decor vibe. Whimsy goth is what they're calling it.
okay.
But
Oh,
that was a
okay. Yeah,
vibe
yeah,
I was very there was no name for it in the 90s. It's like
yeah.
stars and butterflies, but like dark lace and a lot of velvet. I'm very into velvet
Uh
right now.
huh.
There's something I think just sort of with political uncertainties
Right.
going on in the
You need something
world.
cozy. You need something that
I need,
brings
yes,
joy.
I'm definitely diving into, like, yeah, what's familiar, what's cozy, and what kinda takes me back to, like, it's probably a mental regression going back to my teen years. Fine, whatever. Diagnose me, I don't care.
Midlife crisis.
It's
Whatever.
fine, yes. I had a quarter life crisis, I'll add it a mid one, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Why
Um,
not?
so it is definitely, and that's why I think I was like, "Oh, yeah, Shmi Skywalker,"
Hmm.
yes, that's something I have to accomplish this year. Like, I remember my youngest brother and I realized that that's maybe the only one of the episodes 1, 2, and 3 that we got to see all together with our dad in the theater,
Okay.
because he had passed away before the 3rd one was out.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Oh, yeah, these projects that are coming to me are very much what I need mentally right now, what I need
Yeah.
emotionally right now, what I need tactically right now." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's velvets. It's this the Ever After one takes me back because I started with Michigan Ren Fair, costuming
Right.
there, and hand sewing, like gowns for that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course that's what I need to accomplish this year. Yeah, for sure. I'm on board with this guy's
Perfect.
life philosophy. That speaks to me. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I want to and I think I mentioned it at some point last year, but another thing, because you mentioned hand sewing, it just sort of gave me a little reminder, is that I always bring it up. I love this bag. This bag goes with me everywhere. That little barrel bag, right? Which is
yes.
like a vegan leather,
Love that
whatever.
thing.
Not great.
Yeah.
Um, as an object, but hey, it's still kicking. It's
Yeah.
it's
Good.
years old now, and I've
Yes.
I've like abused it. Like, it's gone
Good.
around the world. Um, I would like to, and I'm gonna have to hand sew it because I don't have a machine. But I'd like to do like out of a really sturdy like canvas, or duck canvas, to replicate it, right?
Yes.
And
Oh my
make
god.
another version. I would very much love to do it out of a natural sort of canvas that then can be like either dyed or painted in sort of, different ways.
Mhm.
Maybe sort of dip dunked, dyed so that it's like half one or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's something that I
Awesome.
somehow want to tackle. I'm also thinking of things that like I could perhaps just kind of chip away at as
Yeah.
like I am couch, like
Yes. Yes.
watching
Those
something. Yeah.
those downtime projects. Yeah, that's what we did a
Hmm.
lot during, because I decided to make a coat in December, which I had never done before in my life, but
Okay.
it was again, it was fabric that I have for a different cosplay in Ever After, that I bought years ago, and then I realized I did have more fabric than what I needed, and I was like, "This would make a gorgeous coat for, this look," and I decided to do that in December as my last project for the year, and we just put on Christmas movies because my poor husband is like, "You get to sewing after dinner, and then I have nothing to do."
Right.
He's like, playing some video game, and he's like, "Oh, this is fine," but I mean, and so we would just put on those movies that we know by heart,
Hmm.
and just like, look, we're doing something together, but I'm standing here at my dress dummy, like, pinning something or whatever, that's still enjoying that, like, and I'm like, what? I love projects I can do that with, where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a little monotonous or whatever. It's sewing the trim on or something
Yeah.
like
It's
that that's
something you can do
easy to
almost
take
on
away.
autopilot.
Yeah, totally. I love projects like that. So, yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if you make this because I don't know about you, but I often think those things, like a bag
Hmm.
specifically, and I'm like, I wouldn't know where to begin to sew this on my
Hmm. I've got a
my
pattern. Yeah.
machine, but I want to. It's like, how
Right.
do you figure that out? Okay. I'm curious to
I've got
see
a
how that
pattern. I've got a couple videos of people making sort of that, that style,
okay.
sort of small duffel bag. I'm obviously
Okay.
gonna like miniaturize it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll see. I think
Okay.
like I have these like lofty goals of doing one that's like sturdy enough somehow that it holds its shape
Yeah.
out of canvas, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe one day uh, duplicating it in leather, but
That would
we'll
be
see if we'll
amazing,
see if I
right?
get there. I think once I get to the point where I can maybe make a few of those
Yeah.
without thinking too much, then
Mhm.
I'll take away the whole like mystique of like the pattern and like the order of operations, and then maybe I can try like a different
Yes.
material like leather,
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm just making this out of something else rather than like
Yes.
I need
Yeah.
to figure out how to make this to begin
Yeah.
with.
And you don't wanna be figuring out on leather, right?
No,
Like,
no,
that's
no, that
like,
can get
oh
very
my
expensive.
god.
I have a bunch
Totally,
of tote
totally.
bags, like, that I don't use that are very sturdy,
Yeah.
like, I was thinking,
That's a
like,
great idea.
just as like a,
Mhm.
you know, as a just to try it out,
Yeah,
I'm never gonna
for
use those
sure.
tote bags. I'm not gonna toss those tote bags, like, I
Oh,
might as well
yeah.
give them a second life?
You hoard them, exactly. You save
Yeah,
them in
yeah,
your
yeah, that's
fabric
right,
closet
that's
for
right.
because you're gonna use them, absolutely. I have a
Yeah.
whole bin of felt. Well, because I made those little rebel felt patches, which
Oh, right.
I'll make up more and I'll send some to you, because I wanted something like, I love, I love, like A League of Their Own, right? Like, that
Oh,
era of, like, sports jerseys or, like, hockey sweaters. They weren't
yes.
jerseys, they were a hockey sweater is what you
Yeah,
call it if you're a real, old
yeah,
school fan, and I love the patches from that kinda
yeah,
era or prior even, right? And they're just felt. And so
yeah,
that's why I was like, "I've got a whole bin of felt," just because when you find it at Goodwill, you can't pass it up, right? Or I'm
yeah.
like, I use it for my kids. He's sewed a couple things and stuff like that, and which was the sweetest thing. I have to tell everybody right now. We've got some projects. My mom doesn't listen to the show, so I can talk about this. Some scrap. So the velvet coat that I made over December, he decided he wanted to try it one day, and I was like, "Yes, you," because he's like, "Can I help?" I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but like, sure, let's get but I was like, let's get a needle and thread, and I did it just like my grandma did it when she taught me. I
Oh,
looped the thread through, and I knotted at the end, and I was like, here's some scraps. What do
yeah.
you want to make? And so he wanted to make a heart, and so I let him kind of freehand it, and it is wonky. But then we stuffed
Yeah.
it. We made a little heart pillow, and it's
Yes,
like,
that was my first ever sewing
oh my god,
project when I
see?
was little.
And so
Yeah,
Billy,
it's a
so while
heart
he's
that I
doing
made for
this,
my mom.
he's going, "This is this is my life's work. This is what I was put here on this earth to do. This is my," and I can't remember what movie it is that he's oh, it's Soul. He was watching Soul like on
Yeah.
repeat. and it talks about like your purpose and why you're on earth and everything. And so he's like sewing it and like taking such, this is what I was put here to do. And I'm like tearing up. I'm like, oh my God, like this is amazing. And so I cut more out for him to make for his grandmothers, and we haven't,
Yeah.
but we're going to. But that was one project that I was like, oh, this is so fun to like just like watch him like experience the thread and the fabric and like the
Yeah.
process of like, I was like, oh my God, that's getting me. It's getting me right here.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
I was like,
great.
"Oh, so I need to get him more into, like, haul out the felt bin and just be like, make whatever you want," like, because of
Yeah.
course he wanted to make like a Minecraft axolotl, and I'm like, "There's 50 pieces to a Minecraft axolotl," right? Because
Yeah.
I got a, somebody on YouTube had a pattern, and I'm like cutting it all out, and he's like, he's gone before I'm even done cutting the
Right.
pattern out. I'm like, "This is not going to work," but here's some scrap fabric, and we can make a very simple geometric shape.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So yeah,
That's
he
perfect.
still has it in his bed, his little green heart. So I was like, oh my God. So
Wow.
yeah, that's why we keep everything. We keep
Yeah.
for moments like that when you're like, I needed that.
I need something, but I
I need
don't
something.
quite
Cut it out.
wanna, like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Totally.
go out and
We
get something for
enable
this.
all
Yeah.
of the pack rat tendencies. So, so new year, new projects. Here we
Do
go.
your new
New events.
projects, yeah,
Yes.
and I wish everyone luck on their next endeavors. I'm sure you'll do it, and, I always think that, trying is better than not doing, and failing, you learn more than succeeding. So,
Yes.
don't be
And
afraid. Yeah.
if you're someone like that, you're it's in the mood, it's in the moment, you've got the drive, and then it fades, it's okay. Put it
It's
on your
okay.
desk. It's okay to have the messy desk with the pile of stuff that you're gonna get back to
Yep.
4 years later because I'm finally making that dress 4 years later. Like, it's okay. Like, those cycles in your life come around again. Like, it's don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes we see, oh, actually, this is good. Actually, Raimi put this up in his stories. It'll be long gone by the time you hear this, but
Yeah.
it was a great post. Was someone talking about like taking your time,
Yeah.
not sort of comparing yourself to others and their work rate. Like no one knows what like demands of time like
Yes.
people have with work, with family, with whatever. Like no one should feel bad about like doing only one project a year. Like
Yes,
there's nothing
totally.
wrong with that. Like
Yep.
it's totally fine. Or even having like or even having 40 like ones.
Oh, it's
That's
from
the one.
Starfighter Smalls.
Starfighter Smalls, yeah.
Yes.
Or even having 40 um started projects that like are all like 30% done. Like it's
Mhm.
totally
And
fine, totally okay.
I think I
It's
saw that when she said it,
yeah,
yes.
it should be fun. It should
Absolutely.
be something that sparks joy.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like this ain't a job. I mean, maybe it is
Mhm.
for some, but it isn't for
Yeah.
me. Like this is
Yeah.
what I do for
No.
fun. And it's also like
Yeah.
a creative like outlet, and it's we can't like separate this from any other kind of like art making, and
Yeah.
like that should that should come from inside. That should come
Yeah.
from a happy place. Like it shouldn't be
Yeah.
forced. Yeah.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah. And with that,
Yes.
I think we'll wrap it up right there. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Let's do it. Thanks for, just listening to us just chat today. Just kinda roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We didn't really have this is the third episode of the day. So we just had a loosey goosey one for this one.
I love
And
it.
enjoy this one.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah. Well, I am at One Scavenger's Wardrobe, and you can see where I am still working on these costumes, I'm sure,
Yeah.
whenever this airs.
Yeah.
One Scavenger's Wardrobe on Instagram.
Yeah. I'm Billy Maddox on Instagram. Come see what I've added a stripe to this
Yes.
week. And as always, thank you to the Dad Bats for bringing us on to their amazing family of podcast. We very much appreciate it. Always, Raimi in the background. Always, I have to screenshot this private chat that we have in the recording studio so that we remember to do this amazing project. But thank you so much for always being helpful and always being you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah.
And just remember, everyone, that a long time ago and a galaxy far, far away can be right here and right now.